You know, things don't really look all that different. The sounds are the same as they've always been. And the oil keeps coming up out of the earth for Exxon, just as it did for Humble. Makes you wonder about the Exxon thing. It's like taking off a comfortable old coat and trying on a new one you've never worn before. After all these years and all that oil, the company is going to change its name. But out there, the oil keeps flowing from the ground like it always has. It makes you kind of wonder. Things just don't look all that different. Or do they? Well, maybe it's time to do some serious thinking about who we are and just where in the world we're headed for. There was a time, just a few days ago really, when the loyalty of 30,000 people was tied to those 6 letters, Humble. And these 4, Esso. And these 4, Enco. And now they say Humble and Esso and Enco are a thing of the past. A phase we went through to get where we are. Well, you know, I just can't buy the idea that loyalty is something that can be changed like a hat or a sign. Some people I know still express a kind of nostalgia for names like Carter, Oklahoma, Pate, and Esso Standard. But the curious thing, as I see the old familiar signs coming down, I still feel the same loyalty for the company I felt before. So if it's not the name I'm loyal to, what is it? What is this thing we call the company? Well, I'll tell you what the company is not. It's not a name. It's not a building. It's not steel, nor stone, nor paper, nor policy. It's none of those things. This company is more. It's people. People gathered together to do some things they couldn't do as well separately. It's a group of people sharing their lives and their talent and their energy to build something worthwhile in the world. Now that's where my loyalty lies, with the people. You know, we did some pretty remarkable things when we called ourselves Esso and Carter and Humble. We did even more when we got together and became the new Humble Company a dozen years ago. With all of us working together, we built the largest energy company in America. And so you begin to wonder again. If we did so well when we called ourselves Humble, then why rock the boat? Why change? Probably the most obvious reason, but not necessarily the most important, has to do with marketing. After all, everything we do in the company ultimately depends on how well our products sell at nearly 30,000 locations throughout the country. Well, when you think about it, it's a wonder we've done as well as we have. Instead of being able to concentrate all our effort on one brand, we're strapped with 3. Now, they're all good marks, but why have 3 identities? Shell sells Shell. One product, one company name. Mobil sells Mobil. One product, one company name. Gulf sells Gulf. Again, no confusion. But Humble has had to sell products under 3 brand names, depending upon what region of the country you're in. Esso, Enco, and Humble. Oh, we would have been happy to use Esso everywhere, but we were stopped by the courts. Not only is this confusing to our customer, but look at the problems this multiple brand situation causes. For instance, advertising. When we advertise, we have to produce 3 regional ads instead of merely 1 national ad. Obviously, this raises our advertising costs and reduces our impact. The multiple brand situation reduces our sales potential. From a marketing standpoint, it was important that we have a single nationwide brand identification. But still, marketing alone is not enough to justify the cost and effort a name change involves. There's something else, just as important. Now, it's kind of hard to put into words, but it has to do with the company. The company being people. Not buildings and machinery and all, but people. And people have times in their lives, at least I do, when I take a look at myself and ask some pretty tough questions. Just who am I anyway? What is it I want from life? Where am I headed? What do I want to be? If a corporation, no matter how large or how complex, is a collection of people, then it's subject to the same kind of soul searching. It must ask itself, who am I? Where am I going? What do I want to be? And that time for Humble is now. During the past couple of years, a lot of us have taken a long, hard look at our company and the larger community it serves. And what we saw when we looked out at the world has been mostly change. Tremendous and accelerating change. We began to feel that the things that made us a leader in the past might not be enough to get the job done in the future. And it became clear that the companies that are going to survive in this exciting new world will be those with the greatest capacity to adjust to change. What change? Well, in the past, a corporation could expect to prosper if it offered good products or services at a fair and competitive price. It's just not that simple anymore. In this changing, delicate, turbulent new world, a corporation's success is affected by the attitudes and actions of a whole hierarchy of very powerful publics. State, local, and federal governments, the communication media, shareholders, young people who are gaining more and more influence in the conduct of our society, and the general public, which is growing more and more sensitive to corporate behavior. All these publics have a direct impact on each of us within the company. Today, a corporation must become involved in a host of social issues ranging from ecology to minority relations. And all these different publics demand that it be held accountable for its position and its actions concerning these issues. The company must be in a position to accept full praise or blame for its activities. But the problem is, millions of Americans simply don't know who we are. And many of those who think they do are wrong. Humble, Enco, SO, Standard. The public cannot fully place its confidence, support, or trust in a corporation it can't really define or even recognize. And so here's the whole point. It is imperative that we break away from our old, rather confused public image and establish a strong, unified identity. One company, one name, one brand, a whole fresh start. When one of the largest companies in America decides to change its corporate name and discard some successful and respected brand names in favor of one nobody ever heard of before, well, it makes for some pretty interesting high-level discussion.
All of us, at least to some degree, are creatures of habit. And changes generally are somewhat resisted or repugnant. I think this is your first reaction. Subsequently, I guess all of us go through some period of reconsideration. When you really give it this second consideration, I feel like the reaction is that this is something that is probably past due, and that what we're taking now is a considered and an intelligent step, and one that will end at least the problems that arise out of misunderstandings and confusion, that will end these problems once and for all.
Well, frankly, I was disappointed when the announcement came out because it meant that the decision had been finally made that the chances of using Esso as a nationwide brand was
out the window.
He's an old East.
And while that perhaps wasn't surprising the way things were going, it's a good brand. It's used worldwide.
Sure.
So that having gone past that bridge, however, then it's clear that it's necessary to go to one brand name and tie it in with the company name.
Well, I think there'll be some uncertainty to start with, some getting used to the new name, and this might last for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Some people will never forget the old name that they grew up with, whether it's Esso or Humble. But I think the advantages for the one name and the common brand name and corporate name will be so great that it will become clear that it's to our overall advantage.
I'm sure all of you have had the same experiences I've had, where you'll go to a certain part of the country, and in the Southwest, when you tell them you're with Humble Oil Refining Company, everyone knows exactly who you're with. If you go to the Northeast and you tell them Humble, they may have sort of a blank look, and then you tell them Esso, and they understand what you're talking about.
Well, I'd like to make this point. I can understand your remarks in relationship to marketing and Fred in relationship to refining. But we in exploration, of course, are a little bit different. And I can tell you for sure that this name doesn't have any magic about it that it's going to find us another barrel of oil.
Yeah, but what you need to recognize is that probably the name we have doesn't do that either.
That's exactly right.
And I think you need to realize that a name really is what you make it.
We need everybody's help to make darn sure that we keep our old customers and that we get new customers. And certainly this is exceedingly important to marketing, but it's very important to the whole company. We have to make it clear to our customers and to the people that you fellas deal with too, that the company hasn't changed. We've said this before. We have the same company. We'll have the same dealers out there in those service stations. The products are going to continue to be high quality.
Success, I don't think, is going to come because we change the brand name. Success comes because it's the people that are in the company, and we belong to a great company. It's got a lot of momentum. I would see nothing but a tremendous area of prosperity ahead for the company and for the individuals associated with it.
So what's in a name? Why, of all the names existing in the world, did Humble change its name to Exxon? Well, when the search for a new name began, the prime consideration was to select an effective name, as well as a name we could own completely, free of any kind of legal restrictions. And because this world gets smaller every day, it had to be a name that would work well anywhere and in any language. And a second consideration had to do with a pretty rare opportunity. The opportunity to actually create a name from scratch, not merely to borrow some existing word that might mean different things to different people. So we began a search for a word never before spoken by any man in any language. Our company is unique. There's no other like it. So why would we expect less of our new name? To help us in our search, we used a computer to prepare all the probable letter combinations we might want to consider. But the computer can't make creative decisions, and so the mind of man was applied to the task. Not only did we want a unique name, but we were searching for a name that would symbolize this whole new, fresh start idea, something bold and futuristic. Another requirement was to find a name that might have the feeling of the petroleum industry, but could be used in our non-petroleum business as well. And so, after a long search, we had our totally new word, Exxon, with 2 X's. It looked great, met all the requirements we had set for our new name. Unique, distinctive, and because of the double X, people all over the world would say it the same way. a symbol for our fresh start. A little strange, but tremendously promising. And so we took our promising new name and put it to the test. We tested the new name at selected markets around the country. The tests told us what we needed to know. People liked the name and would buy from Exxon outlets. They'd fill their tanks with Exxon. Now we have a number of months to prepare to change over, and we need that time to get ready for our new identity. In the months ahead, the people of our company will be involved in an enormous undertaking. Why, just for starters, there are over 45,000 service station identification signs that must be changed, plus thousands of other signs. Everything from the signs on a bowling shirt to the signs on a tanker. There are a multitude of different forms which must be reprinted. But probably the most difficult sign of all to change is the one you and I carry around in our minds.
You have just seen and heard many of the reasons why it is impossible for us to operate with a single, nationwide, major brand. And when you sum it all up, we want to communicate more effectively. We know that one brand will reduce confusion in the minds of our customers. It will project a stronger national image for our company, and it will enable us to have a more effective advertising program. All of these aims will be better accomplished by having our major brand name as an integral part of our company name. The decision to change our name was not an easy decision to make, and the changeover task we have before us is not an easy one. I think the hardest part of our whole name change effort will be the demand it places on each individual employee. Suddenly, all of the pride you feel in what we've accomplished, all the loyalty you feel, must be attached to a symbol, a name you heard for the first time just a few months ago. And frankly, it's a problem I had when I first heard the name Exxon. Right now, for many of you, I imagine it's still just a word. But I think Exxon will become more comfortable for you with time, just as it has for those of us who have worked with it during the development. I'm convinced our new identity program is a progressive step forward. The new name is going to start a new era for our company. And what's really exciting to me is what Exxon may mean to each of us a year from now, 5 years, 10 years from now. Its ultimate meaning and what it stands for will depend upon what you and I make it.
Doesn't seem really like much has changed. The oil keeps coming up out of the earth for Exxon, just like it did for Humble. But there is something kind of special hanging in the air. Like a promise made. Something's changing, all right. I think I can feel it beginning.